And sometimes what happens when you come to church or to community group, you only care about what you care about, and you miss everything that's being taught or discussed because you are obsessed with one issue that God doesn't care about at that time nearly as much as you. And that's this man's situation. And what happens is this: he is consumed with coveting. Apparently, perhaps his father has died, and now they're splitting up the family inheritance. And he's worried that his brother's going to get more than he. How many of you have seen coveting destroy a family? How many of you have seen coveting destroy a family when someone dies? All of a sudden, what looks like a functional family, someone dies and there's an inheritance. There's possessions, wealth, life insurance, and now everyone in the family is jockeying, arguing, seeking to get what they want. And it becomes adversarial and contentious. This is where the heart is exposed. This is where brothers should be grieving together, mourning together. They should be lamenting the loss of their father. They should be working things out instead. They're basically looking for attorneys, and they're going to make this litigious and contentious. How many of you have seen this in your own family? It's horrifying. It's embarrassing. We had a situation not unlike this many years ago in my own family when I was a teenage boy, and it made an indelible mark on me. Like, why are we fighting over the possessions? Why has this gotten so adversarial and acrimonious? Oh, there's coveting. There's coveting. And the heart is exposed in moments of opportunity. And so Jesus says, guard against all covetousness. What is coveting? Coveting is not just the having of possessions, it is the loving of possessions, which results in the hoarding of possessions. Loving meaning you can't stop thinking about it, you can't live without it, you absolutely have to have it. And even if you don't have the money, you're still going to go get it. We call that debt. The average American has over $7,000 on a credit card right now. The most likely person to be in credit card debt is a young single woman, apparently out buying clothes to look nice to attract a man who likes to pay off credit card debt. That's the shell game. And what happens is then, if you're coveting something, you're lusting for something, you have to have something, you put your hands through the shackles to buy it, and now you are indebted to the credit company because the borrower is slave to the lender. That's the trick of coveting. Coveting ends in slavery. Someone owns your dollars, someone owns your days because you worship someone or something other than God. So coveting is a horrendous sin, but we don't believe this. We do not believe this because we call it advertising. We don't use the word coveting. We use the word advertising or PR or marketing. The whole point of advertising is to get you to covet, to get you to be discontented because you either have contentment or covetousness. If you're content, you're glad for what you have. If somebody else has something, you're glad for them, but you don't have to have it. You're not jealous about it. You're not obsessing over it. You're not going into debt to keep up with them. You're okay with it. But if you're coveting, everything changes. Advertising exists to create in you a sense of discontentedness, things you didn't even know you needed. And the truth is, you don't really need them. Have you just watched a car commercial lately? You're like, oh, it's a new car. I have an old car. My car does not have all of those speakers. Those are amazing. Heated seats. My bum is cold. I don't have heated seats. I need heated seats. All of a sudden, you're discontented. I need heated seats. I need one for my bum and one to warm a muffin on the way to work for my breakfast. That's what I need, heated seats. All of a sudden, you start coveting things you didn't even know existed. And so what you do is you lust and you covet and you obsess, and then you go into debt and you go get it, and then 6 months, 12 months later, you know what they do? They come out with a new improved version. This is technology, this is transportation, this is fashion. Everything keeps changing. so that you remain without contentment and you're filled with covetousness. Coveting, coveting, coveting. See, Americans don't see coveting as a sin, but it is. It's actually one of the 10 commandments. God wrote a list, 10 commandments. Number 10, no coveting. It actually made the list. Here's how he says it, God does, in Exodus chapter 20, verse 17, the 10th commandment. You shall not covet your neighbor's house or covet your neighbor's wife or his servant, his male servant, his female servant, his ox. Right, that would be his tools, his truck, his donkey, that would be his car, his Jeep, or anything that is your neighbor's, including his TV. The huge one you could see where you're walking your dog and you look through the window and you see the big TV and you stop to covet. Oh, look at that TV. That's so big I can see it from the street. Need me one of those TVs. The whole point of the mall is window coveting. Why do you think they put all the stores together? So when it's raining, you can walk around and go, I need that, I need that, I need 2 of those. I don't even know what that is. I better go in and find out just in case I need it too. The whole point is coveting and discontentedness. And covetousness, here we see, it is an attitude of the heart that consumes everything. You're not just content in one area and coveting in another. You're either content in all areas or coveting in all areas. And it could be your neighbor's house, their spouse. It can be all of it. And I think it's interesting that he starts with coveting your neighbor's house. How many of you covet your neighbor's house? Condo, dorm, apartment, whatever. Their dwelling you want. They have more square footage than me. This is very frustrating. How many of you watch those shows on TV and you start coveting? You watch MTV Cribs or a show like that. Like, oh my gosh, they have a basketball court in their bathroom. I need a basketball court in my bathroom. Now I used to be happy with my bathroom, but now it seems so small. Just start coveting over their house. Oh, they have a theater room, they have a game room, they have a poker room. Oh, man. Or we watch those shows that are home improvement shows. Add a wing to your house, upgrade your bathroom, fix your kitchen, do it yourself. But it's coveting. It's, oh my gosh, they have granite countertops. We don't have granite countertops. I'm sure when Jesus rose from death, he didn't mean for us to have non-granite countertops. That couldn't be what the Lord had in mind. All of a sudden, you're coveting. This is why if a house goes for sale in your neighborhood, the first people to go in for the open house are all the neighbors. All a bunch of coveters walking around, trying to figure out, well, do they have more square footage? Is their house nicer than ours? How do we stack up? It's coveting. It's coveting. It's the American way. Jesus says, guard your heart against coveting. It's a real problem. And the way you guard your heart against coveting is you worship God. Because, see, coveting is the worship of an idol. An idol can be some created thing that you love too much, or you long for too much, or you lust after too much. And so the way we combat coveting is through worshiping. That's why the first 2 of the 10 commandments are, number 1, there's only one God. Number 2, you worship him alone. And if you worship God alone, you won't break the rest of the commandments. Martin Luther says you won't murder somebody. You won't commit adultery. You won't lie, and you won't steal, and you won't covet. Because if you're worshiping God, you'll be content with your spouse. You'll be content with your house. You'll be content with all that God has given you. And you won't be coveting. You won't be sinning. You'll be worshiping. Do you believe that? Most of us don't. Here's how it is declared in Colossians 3:5. Greed is idolatry. Is that clear? Greed is idolatry. And see, a lot of people right now, they've not dealt with a greed problem. That's why they're grieving. See, we worshiped as a collective people the god Mammon. Jesus calls money mammon, a false god. We worship Mammon. Now Mammon has died. People are grieving. Our God died. Lost my equity. My retirement's down. My portfolio is not as good as it used to be. I'm getting ready to graduate and I can't make as much money as I would have 5 years ago. I can't even find a job that is what I was hoping for. Oh, I'm so grieved. My God has died, and everyone is secretly awaiting for resurrection. When will our God be back? When will our God be back? Are home prices on the rise? Is unemployment down? Is our God stirring yet? Greed is idolatry. You don't need more wisdom, you need more wealth. You don't need your idol to come back from death. You need God to be the object of your affections.